Hey y'all, so Tuesday, February 11th is the first in the nation primary down in New Hampshire for the Democratic primary nomination. And so I'm going to break it down to you how all this shit works. Okay. So I'm going to have the polling data, the aggregate data, as well as the more recent polls, the forecast data. But more importantly, you guys have to understand how this works, right? Because a lot of times people just think that they know how the delegate math works, how the allocations work, how the thresholds work, and they don't. And so that's an important part that I want to make sure I fill in for you guys. Of course, I'm going to have my 27 cents along the way, and I will have some Q&A at the end of the preview for New Hampshire. Per usual, first 2 minutes on Twitter, then head on over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Okay, subscribe to my channel. You don't have to miss this shit. You can even skip this goddamn intro if you're on my YouTube. So before I get to that, I'm not how I used to be doing wine, but yeah, I need some goddamn coffee today. My ass sitting up there karaoke and this shit playing cards with my husband all night like I didn't have goddamn work to get to. So I was tripping. Okay, so first things first. New Hampshire has 24 delegates. Now, if you watch my videos before, you know that the magic number is 1,990. That's how many goddamn delegates your ass needs to get the nomination. On the first ballot, 1,990 pledged delegates. New Hampshire has 24. So in New Hampshire, there are two ways that delegates are allocated. They're allocated at the district level, and then they're allocated at the state level. There are two congressional districts in New Hampshire, okay? And the thresholds for delegate allocation is 15% minimum. So you have to get, a candidate has to get 15% of the vote. And either you can get it in one district, both districts, statewide, it doesn't matter. But in order to get any district delegates for that district, you have to get 15%. So you can get 15% in one district, not another, and not statewide. You only get 15. You only meet the threshold in that district. Okay, so that's very important to understand. Now, in New Hampshire, you have 16 delegates that are allocated between the two congressional districts. All right, and then you have another 8 that are allocated at the statewide level. So you have at-large delegates at the statewide level, and then you have what's called party leader elected official delegates. Okay, they're basically allocated the same way. So you have to hit the 15% threshold at the statewide level to get any of those, and then you have to hit the 15% threshold at the district level. So these are important little nuances that people don't necessarily really understand about how delegate math is done. So that's the most important thing you have to understand there. So what you might see, for instance, in the statewide polling is that maybe somebody's at 12% statewide, but maybe in this district, District 1, they might be at 16%. And at District 2, they might be at, 13%. And so they'll get the allocation in District 1, but not District 2 in that example. Okay, so now I hope y'all understand that. So let's talk about the polling aggregate data, okay? I'm going to use 538 data for this. I think you guys mostly are familiar with 538.com, projects.538.com, polls/president primary. You can figure that out. Go ahead and Google the shit, all right? So anyways, average as of February 10th, which is today, Sanders at number 1 with 26% of the vote. That's the polling aggregate. Pete Buttigieg is in number 2. Okay, with 20.9%. Then you drop all the way down here to the low 10s at 12.6%. Polling aggregate is Elizabeth Warren. Then you have Joe Biden. This is 5th place, child, with 12%. Then you got Amy Klobuchar with 9.7%. Then you drop down once again to Tulsi Gabbard with 3%. Andrew Yang at 2.9%. Tom Steyer stole Kamala Harris's data. I'm gonna keep saying that. Is at 2.7%. Then you got Michael Bloomberg at 2.3%. Deval Patrick at 0.7%. Michael Bennet, I don't know why the hell he's in the chat, at 0.4%. I'll start from the bottom, work my way up. Okay, Michael Bennet dropout. Deval Patrick, now remember, if y'all recall, Deval Patrick was supposed to have done so well in New Hampshire because that was the backyard to Massachusetts. Y'all remember that whole rationale that he had? That's not panning out. They're not even giving his ass a look at all. So that was obviously very, very, very wrong conventional wisdom on his part. Michael Bloomberg is at 2.3%. Michael Bloomberg is not really competing. He's not contesting New Hampshire. So this number, you know, if somebody really wants to like be try to make it seem like, well, look, he's not doing well because he's only polling 2.3%. I guess you could try to make a thing. But the reality of it is that Bloomberg has skipped this contest. So that's not really a meaningful number there, but that's fine. Tom Steyer, what are you doing? I'm gonna say it again. I think Tom Steyer has a non-aggression pact with Bernie Sanders. Because Tom Steyer, he's confusing me. Anyways, Andrew Yang, okay, I don't have to say really anything else about that. He's still polling pretty low. I don't see a path for Andrew Yang. I don't know what he's doing. But, I mean, why the hell not? If you have money and you've already gone this far, why not get some votes? Tulsi Gabbard. I thought this was supposed to be Tulsi Gabbard's thing because this is an open primary, if I'm not mistaken. And so I thought she was supposed to go ahead and pick up some votes there, but not so much. Amy Klobuchar, you know, they've been trying to make this surge happen with Amy Klobuchar for so long, child. And she has gotten some really good polling in recent days. You know, you might be able to attribute that to the debate because, you know, every time Amy Klobuchar opened up her mouth, chat, they're like, oh my gosh, she had a great debate. Even when she, remember that bang shit? They said she was killing at that fucking debate, even though that bang was all over the place, child. Millie rocking, her bang was Millie rocking on the stage. But it looked like she might have finally got her a little surge. We'll see tomorrow. Joe Biden, 12%. How do you like justify that? You've been a fucking front runner this whole time. Now, he hasn't necessarily been the front runner in specifically New Hampshire, but nationally. This is what you call a collapse. This is a collapse, y'all. Because he wasn't even polling this poorly just a couple weeks ago. He has crashed in New Hampshire. Same with Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren, what happened? Because New Hampshire is also your backyard because you're a Massachusetts senator. So she's collapsed, crashed and burned too. Then you got Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg is on the upswing, child. Now, I know y'all going to say, black voters, he doesn't have the black support. Well, apparently it don't fucking matter in goddamn New Hampshire or Iowa. Okay? So it is what it is with that. And then you have Bernie Sanders, who is in the lead. Why has nobody attacked Bernie goddamn Sanders? People spent the whole fucking weekend attacking Pete Buttigieg instead of Bernie Sanders. Somebody needs to help it make sense to me. Like I said, I talked about this a little bit on Saturday, so I won't beat a dead horse, child, but Bernie motherfucking Sanders is going to be the goddamn nominee if you guys don't fucking start running against his ass. Get that through your fucking skull. But apparently nobody seems to either have a problem with that or have a plan for that. So that is what it is with that. All right, let's talk about some of this more recent polling. Okay. So, and I'm just going to roll through it. I'm not going to have too much commentary, y'all. Don't worry. All right. So today a poll came out, American Research Group, 530, and has this rated as a B pollster. So, you know, I know y'all like to do the poll truth or shit. Oh, what's the sample size? What's the demographics? What's the this, that, and the other? Doesn't matter, child. It's a poll. They're going to be well within the same range of each other. Now, if you have just something that's a really real outlier, I can understand that. But you're not going to be able to poll truth your ass away into better fucking results for any of these candidates, okay? So anyway, sample size likely voter for 100. So Sanders is in the lead, 28% child, 8 points ahead of Buttigieg. Then you have a two-way tie for third, which is Joe Biden and Amy Klobuchar at 13%. Elizabeth Warren is down at 11% in that one. So not good news for Eliz. You have a Euclid poll from, this is February 7th through 9th, 492 likely voters. You have Bernie Sanders at 26%, Buttigieg at 20%. Klobuchar, Amy Klobuchar, she got that surge because she's in third, but she's down at 12%. So that's that on that. Warren is at 10%. So she's behind Amy Klobuchar in this poll. And Joe Biden is at 8%. Listen, I'm not throwing shade at Joe Biden. I know y'all think I'm anti Joe Biden. I'm not anti anybody but Bernie Sanders. Be clear, it pains my heart to have to give Bernie Sanders any credit for anything. But the numbers are what the numbers are, child. Y'all cannot believe the numbers if you want to, child. I hope, you know what? I just really hope for Joe Biden's sake, just for his pride's sake, that he don't get 8%, child, in New Hampshire. Because that's fucking embarrassing. I mean, it's going to be embarrassing if he's 4th place. But if he's 5th place and he's at 8%, just drop out. That's controversial. I know you're not going to like that. Just go, Joe. Just gracefully bow out. Anyway, I've had enough commentary on that. University of New Hampshire, child. This is a B-rated poll. 365 likely voters. February 6th to February 9th. You have Bernie Sanders 29%, Buttigieg at 22%. Biden, good news for Biden. This one, he's in 3rd place with 11%. Warren at 10%, Klobuchar at 7%. So that's that on that. And I'm just gonna do let me see anything else. Let's do some A-rated polling. Okay, this came out yesterday. Suffolk polled. Suffolk University is A-, 500 likely voters. Sanders at 27%, Buttigieg at 19%. Amy Klobuchar, this is another 3rd place polling for her at 14%. Did she get that surge? Maybe she did. This is totally after the debate. It's her bang was stiff this time, so she ain't have them issues. So, maybe people, took kinder to her. And she's been getting some pretty decent crowds, too. She raised a shit ton of money. So, Amy Klobuchar might be, in the game in New Hampshire alone, though. 14%. Joe Biden, 12%. And Warren at 12%. So, that's a tie for both. So, a not so god-awful situation would be like if Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and Amy Klobuchar had a 3-way tie. If it's a 3-way tie, is it 3-way tie for 3rd, or 3-way tie for 4th, or 3-way tie for 5th? Y'all help me out on that one. I don't know. I don't have the answers to that one. But at any rate, if they're all like 12, 12, 12, then they're going to all be like, look, we're all bunched up together. But if it's like clearly, like even if it's 1 point separating the two, then somebody lost. Like clearly, it's like, okay, you're clearly in 3rd, you're clearly in 4th, you're clearly in 5th. So, yeah. Not good news for Warren and Biden, but better news for Amy Klobuchar. Let's see. Then we have Emerson College. I'm gonna go through 1 or 2 more of these polls, yeah. Emerson College, February 8th through 9th. This is the A- poll, 500 likely voters. Sanders at 30%, Buttigieg at 23%. Then you drop down again to the low or mid-teen or 10s. Klobuchar in 3rd place again, 14%. Warren at 11%, Joe Biden at 10%. Let me see. I'm just gonna click through these polls, see if Biden got any good news. Not seeing it. You got one Biden. Nope. Sorry. Nope. Okay, well, I've seen enough, child. So that's where we're at. So if you are a Biden supporter, then you better start your engines now on the excuses. That's mean. I shouldn't laugh up. I'm giving y'all ample warning though about this shit. This shouldn't be that surprising. But let's start talking about some of these forecasts. So maybe, maybe you guys will have some good news or some encouraging news in this forecast data. Okay, so 538 has this very elaborate forecast system, child. So what 538 says is that Bernie Sanders is forecasted to win an average of 11 pledged delegates out of a possible 24 now. 80% of the simulations, he wins between 7 and 15. And he has a 75% chance of winning the most delegates. The second most likely person to win the most delegates is Pete Buttigieg at 2 and 5%. That's 37%. So that's twice as likely. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and let me just see what let me see about Biden. Biden is only forecasted to win an average of 2 pledged delegates. And in 80% of the simulations, he wins between 0 and 6%. He only has a 2% chance of winning the most pledged delegates. Warrenistas, what y'all got? Average of 2, 0 to 7 on 80% of the 7 simulations, 1 in 25 or 4% chance of winning the most pledged delegates. And let's see, I'm going to close it out with Amy Klobuchar. Woo. Now, I don't think that Amy Klobuchar's forecast is fair because she's clearly gained over Joe Biden and even Elizabeth Warren. So I'm gonna say, even though this is what this data is saying, it says that she only has a 0.5% chance of winning the most delegates, and her forecast is between 0 and 4 delegates. I'm going to take liberty here, and I'm going to replace what I said or what this forecast is saying about Joe Biden and put that more towards Amy Klobuchar. So I'm going to say that Amy Klobuchar has 2%, not 0.5, child. 2% chance of winning the most delegates. And Joe Biden will have what Amy Klobuchar had, which is 0.5%. Not looking good. All right. I don't have a dog in this fight, child, so don't shoot the messenger. If you do, you probably would have been turned my shit off by now because clearly I'm not cutting any cards. Unbossed, unfiltered. That's what my slogan is now. Anyways, all right. Forecasted delegates, 3.6 for Sanders. Now remember that there are 16 that are given out at the statewide level. So of that allocation, believe that Sanders is going to get on average 3.6, Buttigieg 2.8, Warren 0.8. So that ain't things really 0. Biden 0.6, Bloomberg 0, others 0. Okay. Now at the district level, Sanders, I'm sorry, the state, I had that reversed. The statewide, you're going to get 8 delegates total. Okay. Now at the district level, you're going to get 16 delegates total that are going to be allocated. So remember, 15% is the threshold. Okay. So to get any delegates in District 1, you have to get a minimum of 15% of the vote. Same thing. In District 2, minimum 15% of the vote. Statewide, minimum 15% of the vote. If you get 15% of the vote statewide, it doesn't do shit for you in the districts. That's how that works. So at the district level, out of 16, Bernie Sanders is projected to get on average 7.1, Buttigieg 5.5, Warren 1.6, Biden 1.3, and that's that. Now, you can trade in and out. Warren, Biden, Amy Klobuchar, they're about in the same range. Okay, so that's all the forecast data that there is for that. Let me see. I have this JHK forecast. Honestly, I can't vouch for it because I don't know the person. I haven't followed this person very long, but I like numbers. I'm a numbers girl. You guys might not know that about me, but now I am. So what this forecast is saying, it's more generous. It's more generous. So if you are a Biden person, you might like these numbers because recall that I had said that the forecast, the chance of a Biden, for instance, winning the most delegates was 2%. Well, here it's saying the chance of winning New Hampshire is 6.1% for Joe Biden. For, let me go in order though. Bernie Sanders has a 55% chance of winning New Hampshire. Pete Buttigieg 24%. Then you have Elizabeth Warren next at 8.4%. Then Joe Biden is 6.1%. Then there's Amy Klobuchar at 4.3%. Okay, so that's what this JHK forecast is saying. You can take with that what you want to take with it. Okay. So what this forecast does is it takes your polling, it weights the polling at 90%. And then it has a forecast based on similar states. That's weighted at 3.3%, which that is where it becomes more favorable to Joe Biden. And then you have a demographic regression. So that also gives Joe Biden a little bit more life. All right. So there's plenty of data out there. There's not a lot of, let me just put it this way. You're not going to be able to parse the data to get any other different result than what the aggregate is showing pretty much. So if you want to be hopeful, you're going to have to just cross your fingers and hope that maybe the turnout will, you know, favor your candidate. Hope that the ground game will favor your candidate. And that's going to be the only hope for you. If you are a Warrenista, a Biden, Team Joe, or even a Amy. What is Amy's team called? Team Amy, I guess. If I were to be bullish on anybody, it would probably be Amy Klobuchar. But I'm not bullish on her. I'm just saying. She seems to be trending upward while everybody else is trending down. Not everybody else. Specifically Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren. Okay, let me be precise there. All right, so I feel like I've gone through the preview. You guys probably don't even care that much about New Hampshire. You're probably like, girl, okay, you could have made that 5 minutes, but it is what it is. So let me get to the questions, okay? So I just said, hey, listen, I'm not going to have a whole lot of material to work with for New Hampshire, so I'll answer some questions. And I just said on the state of the Democratic race, so I'm just going to go through these just like how I did on Saturday. Somebody said, just keep up the good work. Okay, thank you. Appreciate you, girl. My Kamala sister. Why is Amy still here? Y'all, I read ahead a little bit. Y'all frying Amy ass up in my comments, child. Why is Amy still there? I'm going to say the same thing for everybody else. Why not? She has money. People still giving her money. She made $3 million since the debate. So why not? Who fucking needs a path to the nomination if you can just run and collect some coins, increase your exposure? She's young enough. She'll run again, I'm sure. She might be trying to get herself some leverage in terms of the convention, because if she collects some delegates, I don't think that I think she has a very low ceiling for how many delegates she can collect. That's what the forecast is showing. If you just look at the map, it's not very favorable to her. She actually hasn't got a lot of delegates right now. So, but it's just maybe it's a moral victory, I guess, to say like, oh, maybe you beat Joe Biden in a state or two. Maybe you beat Elizabeth Warren in a state or two. And so that kind of, makes you more credible. And so I think, again, why not? And plus exposure and money. So there's no downside for Amy, unless people start to just get on her ass about like, oh, you're stealing votes from Joe Biden or you're stealing votes from Pete Buttigieg. Then, they're going to pressure the fuck out of her to drop out because she doesn't have a path. Let's just be honest. She's raising money, but she's not raising anywhere enough money to be competitive like with a Pete Buttigieg or a Michael Bloomberg. So she still has a very small operation. I can't imagine she plans on being around that much longer. Okay, let's see. So somebody said Ryan said thoughts on Amy's flip-flopping on women's rights. Okay, so in this he has a tweet. And the tweet is a picture of this gentleman posing with Amy. Okay, it's a picture of the two. And it says, this is Chris Crawford saying, today I asked Amy Klobuchar if there's room in her coalition for pro-life people. She said yes, of course. I asked if she'd try to find common ground on bringing down the number of abortions. She said yes, and told me about her work in the adoption caucus in the Senate. Chris, why the fuck do you care anyway about the number of abortions? What business of it is yours? That's number one. But if we're to take Chris at his word in this picture, anybody can post anything on goddamn Twitter, that this exchange really happened. Let's just assume that that is true. I don't know. What do you expect Amy to really say? Is she going to tell a guy who is pro-life, which means you don't know how to mind your fucking business, if you ask me? Hell nah, I'm not going to accept your vote. No, she's trying to get votes. So, yeah, she's going to be like, yeah, sure, adoptions. But, she's obvious. This is the thing. Amy is not going to be the person that's going to try to communicate a progressive stance. I don't mean progressive as in crazy ass progressives. I just mean like what we used to call progressive before we instituted this like brown paper bag or white paper bag litmus test on who could be fucking progressive. She's not going to be the person that's going to articulate that case. Like a Kamala Harris can articulate that or whatever. That's not going to be Amy. Okay, now she might be an ally in the sense of like her voting record or whatever. I don't know. I honestly don't know her record in and out like that in terms of abortion. So I don't know if she's what her what is it, narrow score or whatever Planned Parenthood. I don't know what those would be. So, but is it a flip flop? I don't know. Is it a flip flop? I just think she's trying to gain a voter. So I don't have a comment on that because I don't support Amy anyway, girl. She's not gonna be my vote. So it don't matter what the fuck she tell people as far as I'm concerned. Somebody, Kenny, hey Kenny boo, said tomorrow is the big day and taking it easy. And kissing Bernie's ass has done nothing for Amy, Pete, and Biden. They should have took him out on the debate stage. That's not a question, but I agree with you. I've been saying for months now, is anybody going to run against goddamn Bernie Sanders, or are they just going to let his ass waltz to the fucking nomination? The delegate math, the path is starting to favor Bernie Sanders, and it's going to be too fucking late before people figure this shit out. People seem to be convinced too. I've heard a lot of this, and I want to push back on this, that Michael Bloomberg is running to just only to block Bernie Sanders. No, Michael Bloomberg is running because he wants to be goddamn president. He wants to be the nominee. If he was running just to block Bernie Sanders, then why the fuck has Michael Bloomberg not attacked Bernie Sanders? Have you seen any anti-Bernie ads from Michael Bloomberg? Have you heard any anti-Bernie rhetoric from Michael Bloomberg? No, he hasn't laid a finger on him. So that doesn't sound to me like a person who's just running to block Bernie Sanders. Because if that's what he wanted to do, he could have put $10 million into a super PAC that ran fucked up ads against Bernie Sanders in Iowa. That would have been impactful. He could have ran some hit piece ads on fucking Facebook or Twitter. They don't regulate that shit on one of these platforms. And that'd have been that. But he's not doing that. So I don't believe that he's running to block Bernie. I think he's running because he wants to be president. Just like all these people are running because they want to be president. So that's my 2 cents on that. Y'all are going to keep believing all this shit about Michael Bloomberg. That's the genius of his strategy. And I don't have any affection for Michael Bloomberg. I will continue to reiterate that, not an endorsement on him. The genius of the strategy is here you have a fucking billionaire, 60 billionaire, who parachutes his motherfucking ass into the race, automatically from jump spends $40 million. Then he makes it $80 million. Then he makes it $100. Now he's up to what, $200 million? And because this motherfucker sits up there and tells y'all, oh, well, I'm just running because I want to build an infrastructure for the party. Whether I win the nomination or not, I'm still going to keep my staff on until November. I'm still going to pay for all this shit. Y'all like, yeah, that sounds good. That's called disarming you. That's called neutralizing a criticism against him. Everybody fell for it. Oh, well, if I don't have enough delegates to be viable by Super Tuesday, I'll drop out. No, he won't. Why the fuck would he do that? By Super Tuesday, still only about 30-something% cumulative of the delegates would have been awarded. There's still a whole lot more delegates left. So why would he do that? That doesn't make sense. So a lot of this stuff that, people are believing, these narratives that are being put out there about this supposedly altruistic reason for Michael Bloomberg to run doesn't make fucking sense. I know he has $60 billion, but do you honestly believe that somebody would spend $200 million for shits and giggles just to not win if they weren't trying to win? When if they wanted to just block a person, they could have put that money behind a different candidate who was already running, or they could just put the money behind destroying that person. Those are two options that they could have chosen. Not run for a whole ass fucking president, hire 2,000 goddamn people and spend $250 million through February. Just saying. But what do I know? Who's the manager I need to talk to get Kamala back in the race? I have a mean Karen voice. And as somebody said, maybe a bunch of us in calling want to be the collective Karen. Karen, simmer down, Karen. And Karen number 2. Kamala is not getting her motherfucking ass back in this race. Not as a presidential candidate. She ain't got no time for it. Do y'all not see Kamala is chilling? Kamala is doing her thing. Kamala is glowed up. Kamala is living her best fucking life. Okay, she ain't worried about this shit. There's no reason for her to get up in there and do what? Be the puncher back again? No. Go have to beg Brian goddamn Steele for $3 million? No. Anybody got time for that? Let Kamala be great. Okay, support her in 2022 when she presumably runs for Senate. Support her, whatever her decision is going to be in terms of if she's asked to be on the ticket or not asked, or whatever kind of cabinet position. Now, I won't really be all that happy if Kamala goes for Attorney General, because I cannot stand the thought of her being Attorney General. I would love to see her as Secretary of State. Depending on who's the nominee, I don't have a problem with VP. So those would be my choices, but I don't have a fucking say in the matter because I'm not Kamala. Okay, Kamala is her own strong Black woman. Power to the people. But yeah, Karen, simmer down. But I appreciate the sentiment. I know that means you miss Kamala. Child, we all miss Kamala. Let me see what else I got here. I might not have a whole lot. Why does Carl says, why does MSM keep saying Biden is stumbling? Is he actually in trouble, or is it just news creating a self-fulfilling prophecy again? Self-fulfilling prophecy, chair. The news has been propping this motherfucker up this whole goddamn time. What prime have y'all been watching? He's gotten almost near universal positive coverage. He hasn't had any obituaries written on his ass, despite the fact that he had dismal fundraising throughout the entire year. What else? He's not been that great in debates, if you ask me. He has the most media coverage. The whole fucking cavalry came to his rescue for the impeachment. He did a very ineffective job. I've said that before, and I'll say it again, on defending himself at impeachment. And I think that's what has fucked him up the most, is that his inability to push back against weeks of Republicans, particularly or specifically Donald Trump's team, making the case that he's corrupt. Him and his son are corrupt. He had no answer for that. It's an unfair world, okay, that he had to have come up with a better defense to that, and he didn't. So it is what it is with that. So I don't think that you can't blame the media on this shit, because the media is what kept his ass afloat all this goddamn time. Biden fucked himself over. It wasn't the media's fault that Biden's caucus precinct captains didn't know how the caucus shit work. That's not the media fault. How is that CNN fault? So Biden is stumbling. Biden has very little money. If he had money, don't you think he'd be announcing a surge in people in South Carolina because he knows that's do or die, or even in Nevada? That hasn't happened, has it? No. So he doesn't have money. And he's not going to get the money. Definitely not after he polls what? Between 10. The best case scenario sounds to me at this point, based on what the polling is saying, the polling could be wrong, he might have a surge. It's like 12%, 14%. That's not going to get a avalanche of donors coming his way. That's no shade, child. I don't have a problem with y'all. I'm just telling you what I'm telling you. I'm not trying to create no narrative. I'm just making an observation. Dre says, do you think a broker convention is coming, and who do you think will likely win? I've explained this a couple of times. Y'all need to watch my videos. But yes, I do think a broker convention is coming, more than likely, unless somebody bows the fuck out. Bernie ain't gonna do it. So the question would be how effective people are at getting the delegates for one person that they need to block Bernie, if they're even in a position to block Bernie. Because Bernie could potentially win the delegates outright that he needs. I hate to say that, but who's gonna check him? Who is doing anything about it? When the fuck are you guys going to figure out that Bernie is the person that needs to be stopped? He's the one that you need to campaign against, not Pete Buttigieg. Bernie Sanders, 44%, according to 538, 44% odds of getting more than half pledged delegates. That means that he gets the nomination outright, period. Nobody stops him. Pete Buttigieg has 1 to 4%. I mean, 1 to 25%, 4%. Everybody's attacking goddamn Pete Buttigieg. So, does that make sense? That's why we're probably going to be heading towards a goddamn broker convention. And do I think that Michael Bloomberg is going to spend $400 fucking million or 200, 300 and say, oh, here, Bernie, here you go. Here are my delegates. Let's unite around Bernie. Fuck no. He would not be doing that. So, we'll see. Who do I think will win? Well, I mean, I think it depends on how much delegates that Bernie's wing has. Elizabeth Warren don't seem like she's gonna make it too much longer, jail. So she doesn't seem like she's gonna even really be in much of a position to hand her delegates to him. But if he's close enough, then he might not need a lot of help. He might just need just that little bit to put him over the top. So my prediction is that Michael Bloomberg would win a broker convention. That's my prediction, or my expectation, observation, whatever the hell. But that hinges on there being enough distance between the majority of pledged delegates and Bernie Sanders. Let me add a question. Can it be explained why the people with the impetus to nail Senator Harris to the cross over a prosecutorial record aren't doing the same for Amy Klobuchar? When will they begin to question, if ever? Child. Amy is white. She can get away with shit that Kamala can't get away with. That's the number one answer. Number two, Nobody actually really gave a fuck about Kamala's prosecutorial record. It was just something that the Bernie bros and broettes, little funky asses, decided they were going to harp on because that was the thing that they were able to penetrate most easily with. I don't think the particulars of Kamala's record were the issue. It was the narrative that was the issue. See, we don't have a fact-based, detail-oriented society anymore. What we have is a narrative-based society. It's not about what is true. It's only about what you can convince people of. And it's a lot easier to convince people to not trust a person, to view a person with contempt or skepticism, than it is to have to say, well, this is something very specific that you have to have an issue with. Because trust me, I fought people all day, every day on the particulars. And people were like, well, I just don't like her. Okay, well, what the fuck? Why are you sitting here putting all this other shit if you just don't like her? You don't even know why the fuck you don't like her, but you don't like her. Because people are fucking stupid. Okay? So that's why. Because it wasn't really about her prosecutory record. That's why. And people were on some Operation Block the Black Woman shit. And to a certain degree, they were kind of right to see Kamala as the biggest threat because look at what's happening right now. Joe Biden is collapsing, and who's the person that you see surging a little bit more? It's not so much Pete Buttigieg on the national level. He's still relatively stable. It's Bloomberg. Why? Because Bloomberg, according to polling out today, is now starting to move just behind Joe Biden nationally with black voters. Now, is there any reason to believe with all the shit that was thrown Kamala's way that she would have won Iowa? Probably not, because people were fucking hell-bent on making sure that didn't happen. But as so goes the black vote, so goes the nomination if they can build a coalition of people across that. So that's why Michael Bloomberg has a chance. But Amy Klobuchar was not in that position to gain with black voters, so people just didn't bother with her. When will they begin to call into question? I mean, people are starting to. The Warrenistas are starting to call out Amy Klobuchar. Yeah, now where the fuck was you Warrenistas at back in goddamn April 2019 when y'all was all over Kamala's head? I see y'all. I know who you motherfuckers are too. And you know who you are. All the people that were sitting up there slandering and lying on goddamn Kamala Harris and shit. You didn't have nothing about Amy. I've looked. I have the receipts. But then once Amy Klobuchar ass started getting Elizabeth Warren, then all of a sudden you got different energy. Well, when are we going to talk about Amy's record? Well, it's not fair that Kamala, her record we're talking about, but Amy's isn't. Well, who was talking about Kamala's record? Joe motherfucking ass talking about Kamala's record. The same motherfuckers that was talking about Kamala's record, not Amy's record, are the same motherfuckers talking about, well, why can't we talk about Amy's record? We should have been talking about Amy's record. You should have been talking about it. Okay, that was a tangent. Sorry. All right. Somebody posted a tweet from John the K. Park. Far too many Democrats are wallowing in their fears or insisting on purity. Neither is an option, folks. Trump must not win a second term. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Trump's budget is a hard copy printed gifted to the Dems based on huge cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Will Dems start only talking about this? Hell no, because Dems ain't got no fucking sense to do that. You know, what really won for the Dems in 2018 was excellent messaging on Obamacare and the fact that that was under assault. You know, the Democrats aren't really putting forth that kind of messaging. I'm hoping maybe the people at the local level, not local, but, you know, the congressional district level are talking about that. But I don't see that in the presidential candidates talking about it too much. Is Tulsi Gabbard still in this thing? Technically. Bloomberg is flooding the market and rising the polls. Do you think clips like this will even matter when we get to Super Tuesdays? Why or why not? So this looks like some probably inflammatory shit that he was saying. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna be honest with you. Now y'all want to bring out clips and shit and be like, oh, stop and frisk or whatever. It's too late. Doesn't matter. You don't want to hear that, but it's true. Michael Bloomberg has enough money for anything to not matter. You don't want to hear that, but it's true. Because, okay, that's fine. So let's say there's a commercial that has Michael Bloomberg saying whatever the fuck. That commercial might have $100,000 put towards it. Okay, Michael Bloomberg has $10 million to counter that commercial. Who you think is going to hear more? The $10 million ad buy or the $100,000 ad buy. And when they put the shit out there, now it used to be that you fake put some money behind the ad and then the media picks it up and then that becomes a news story. But in this Trump day and age, these news stories is about 5 seconds. Trump is a bigger draw. So negative shit about candidates, unless it's Kamala Harris, unless it's the back of the bus primary, Operation Block the Black Woman Child, that shit is old news in 15, 20 minutes. So I don't think it's going to make a difference. Sorry. Y'all shouldn't have let this man sit up there and surge the way he surged. It is what it is. Don't start talking about, records and shit like that now. It's too late. All right, I already talked about Bloomberg enough. I ain't gonna keep going into that shit. What do you think about the fact that Republicans can vote on the New Hampshire primary? They can vote for Bernie, who they think will lose against Trump. They can vote for Republican light option. They can vote for gang. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't think that you're going to have a significant enough amount of Republicans, I've said this before, that are going to vote just to throw chaos into the ring because people are fucking lazy. So, I don't think it's going to make a difference. But people will pounce on whatever it is that they want to pounce. If they want to say, oh, well, look at the Republicans, X number of percentage of Republicans voted and they voted this way, so that way you can't, trust the results. That's what's going to happen. It doesn't matter. Let's see. Mike Stop and Frisk Bloomberg got 22% of black voters in the new Quinnipiac poll. How the fuck is that possible? I've already addressed that. Does it matter that he stop and frisk? No, it doesn't. Sorry. Nobody wants to hear that, but it don't matter. So that's how. You have good fucking commercials. You're tough against Trump. You have unlimited money. People are seeing his shit. He has a good data operation. He has a large campaign staff. That's what you need. So his record is going to be irrelevant. Sorry. Not sorry. Y'all let him get this far. Y'all should have, not you specifically, but I'm saying that black people, don't sit there and start talking this shit about stop and frisk now. Y'all let him come up in here. Y'all let him drag Kamala Harris ass out the goddamn race. And, now it's his chance to surge. Because black people, we had a position. Nobody wants to fucking hear this, but we had a position to where we had leverage. We could have at least backed a black candidate. Even if it wasn't Kamala. We said, Kamala's a call. Well, shit, Cory Booker. We ain't even do that. We did not make anybody earn our black ass votes. Joe Biden had the black vote. All it took was for Joe Biden to collapse, which, come on, this is his third or fourth presidential campaign. Y'all had faith in Joe to win this. Obama didn't even have fucking faith in Joe. Obama said Joe don't run. But y'all suppose he was following behind Obama. Obama said Joe don't run. So how does that make sense? So yeah, that's really it. Sorry. Don't matter. He's gonna get the black vote. But, is he going to get turned out? That's the question. These things aren't a matter at this point of will you get this demographic or that demographic as much as it's going to be how you're going to turn people out. Do I think that Bloomberg will get record turnout? No, I don't. But he might get enough. He might be able to pick wisely with his VP choice and maybe get a little point here, a little boost there. Who knows? But one thing I will say about Bloomberg is he has the money to almost, and I said this before, have a 50-state strategy. So he's going to be able to make investments in places where they haven't typically had investments because people are like, well, this is a really red state. We don't want to put money here. We have to focus our energies in like Ohio or Pennsylvania or Wisconsin or whatever. Now you're not going to have to make that choice, presuming that Bloomberg is a nominee because he has the money to go everywhere. So that can make a difference. You might see a Georgia or something like that flip just off the strength of the fact that Michael Bloomberg has the money to invest there. Same with, down in the Southwest area. So there is possible that he will get more turnout just off the strength of his ability to invest in places that aren't typically touched. So I said, so I think that's all I need to say about that. Somebody says, help you drag Biden straight to hell for wasting his time and dwindling resources, attacking Mayor Pete when you should have leaned into ending Bernie, who was his existential threat in this race. I agree, and I already commented on that earlier. So that's my wrap up for the day. I hope you guys learned something new, at least about New Hampshire. And buckle up. It's just the beginning. I think it's going to be, you know what, this is the one thing I don't look forward to. I think people are going to be a little depressed. It's not gonna be fun for a lot of people because, people don't want to come to terms with what's happening. And I think a lot of people, after Kamala dropped out, they went to Biden and they kind of were like, oh, Biden Harris. I never really bought Biden Harris ticket because I don't trust Joe. Mr. I got black you for Barack Obama, Joe. But a lot of y'all did. You had your hopes set on that. And so that's going to be disappointing. For the Warrenistas, I don't know if they just been quiet. I don't follow any real Warrenistas really, so I don't know what they've been talking about. But y'all, have they come to terms with the fact that Elizabeth Warren her path doesn't look good? So I think it's going to be a little somber after Tuesday. Oh, that's unfortunate. But you guys will get over it if that makes you feel any better. And figure out who the hell you're going to support after that. I don't think that people are going to drop out after New Hampshire, but I think people are going to be limping their asses into Super Tuesday. So you might want to start to come to terms with that right now. And you might want to do everything you can to stop the person that you don't want to win. So that's all for me. Signing off. Thanks for watching.